Hey guys, what's up? S366 here, back at you again with another vlog. So I was kind of thinking about topics that I want to do for videos, and I was thinking of shifting this series into more of a political discussion. Like, behind video and music, politics is probably my third biggest interest, and having been from New Hampshire, I kind of grew up surrounded by it. I've always been going to campaign events. I really don't care what the candidate is. I just like going there because of the political aura and the discussions that I have with people there. Like, I've shaken hands with Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, and many more. I actually have 3 presidents that I've shaken the hands of, if you include Bill Clinton. But anyways, so for this video, I was going to take a little political quiz. I was trying to decide between the political compass and the I side with. I think for this video today, I'm going to be taking the I side with quiz because personally I prefer that one. And I haven't taken this quiz in a while. I always get a more left-leaning answer because most of the time I am pretty left-leaning with my policies, but like I said, it's been a long time. Maybe things have changed, so let's get right into it and see what we get. So, should there be more restrictions on the current process of purchasing a gun? No, it's already a pretty complicated process. I've tried buying a gun here in Wisconsin, and you need a Wisconsin ID if you want to buy a Glock, which really doesn't make sense to me, but that's just the rules. You need the state ID that you're buying it in, and I don't know, there's a lot of rules like that I understand why they're in place, because we can't just let anyone buy a gun, but what we have now is doing its job. We should close the gun show loopholes if those are still open. I'm not that informed on that topic, but as a whole, I don't think that there should be more restrictions on buying a gun. Should teachers be allowed to carry guns in school? Yes. Should victims of gun violence be allowed to sue firearms dealers and manufacturers? No, that makes no sense. Should the President of the United States have the power to deploy military troops in order to stop protests? Now that is a tough one because we have the police to stop the protests, but the military, it's almost kind of scary. I mean, I've been at these protests, I've seen the military get deployed, and whenever that happens, I kind of have this thought in my head like, wow, shit just got real, that's the military. But overall, the protests are kind of against that, so I really don't feel like that they would aid in helping the protests. Honestly, I would really just let it play out and try to minimize the damages. Like what my town's doing, they boarded up most of the windows before these protests even started, and I thought that was a pretty smart move. You know, it was pretty indiscriminate in what they did on the businesses, and now with all the boards on all the windows, people painted beautiful murals, and it honestly makes walking down the main street here just like a bit more better because I get to see all that beautiful art. So I'm gonna say no to this question. Are you in favor of decriminalizing drug use? Duh. Do you support affirmative action programs? No, I don't. I feel like affirmative action is a form of discrimination, and if all men are indeed created equal, as the Constitution says, I know it's taken us a while to get to that level, but if we do still want to abide by the Constitution with our current standards, I think that affirmative action does not imply that things are equal. So if we really want things to be equal, we need to get rid of policies like that because it changes the playing ground between different levels or classes of people. Okay, should people on the no-fly list be banned from purchasing guns and ammunition? Now, the no-fly list, to get on it, there's a lot of different things that'll put you on the no-fly list. Like I heard now, not wearing a mask on an airplane will put you on the no-fly list. So I would, I'm really not sure about this. I clicked more answers, so if I had to pick one, I would say no. Do you support the Patriot Act? No, I don't. I believe that the Fourth Amendment gives us the right to privacy, and that privacy is very important. Should the state government order schools to provide online-only classes in order to combat coronavirus? Now, honestly, I really like online classes. I think that they're a hell of a lot easier than regular classes, but should the state government order schools to provide online only? Like, I don't know, the coronavirus has hit a bunch of states really differently. Like the state that I'm living in now, Wisconsin, is way different than New Hampshire in terms of like how hard it's been affected. Like they just closed down all the schools here like less than a week ago. There's no more in-person classes. So I don't know, I feel like there should have been no in-person classes anyways, because you know most colleges are doing this. My brother at Harvard, all of his classes are only online. So regardless, you know, I think that our schools should have online only classes because that's just the standard now. And we have Common Core education. I don't know if I particularly agree completely with Common Core education, but what that does is it's supposed to level the education levels in public schools for students across the country. So I would say if we have Common Core, then yes, we should mandate online only classes. That was my cat, sorry, he was just freaking out. Should it be illegal to burn the American flag? Hell no. Should the Supreme Court be reformed to include more seats and term limits on judges? Hell no. Should college sports be played in the fall of 2020? I honestly really don't care. It's at their own risk, but right now the season's kind of messed up because of, you know, all the ramifications that they have to deal with. So I would say no. Should the U.S. government grant immunity to Edward Snowden?
Sean.
Yes. What?
Let me in, fool.
Filming a vlog, fool.
What?
Filming a vlog.
Is it open?
Yeah. Should social media companies ban political advertising?
I didn't do my
No.
laundry.
Should the government be allowed to seize private property with reasonable compensation for public or civic use? It's a tough one. No, just kidding. That's a no. Of course that's a no. Fuck the government. Should the military upgrade Air Force One? We don't need to, no. Should local police increase surveillance and patrol of Muslim neighborhoods? No, that's racist. Should there be term limits set for members of Congress? That is interesting because without term limits we wouldn't have, I mean with term limits, sorry, we wouldn't have people like Bernie Sanders who have rose in the ranks of Congress for years and years and kind of become a legend in their own right. So I don't know, that is a tough one because at the same time I kind of want fresh blood in there. I guess I'll check other stances. Overall though, like Bernie Sanders is an exception. Most of the people who have been in Congress that long are kind of rotting carcasses, so I'm just gonna say yes. Should internet service providers be allowed to speed up access to popular websites? No. Should the NSA be allowed to collect basic metadata? No, fuck the NSA. Should the redrawing of congressional districts be controlled by an independent, nonpartisan commission? I don't know if that's even possible because there's really no commissions that are independent, but like in an ideal world, yes, I would want that, but it's not gonna happen. Everyone's biased in their own right. So should the government pass laws which protect whistleblowers? Yes, but they're still gonna screw them over, so that's another thing where it's like, okay, they do that and then nothing happens. Should the government regulate social media sites? No. Social media sites are free speech. It's one of the last bastions of free speech that we have left, so we need to hold on to it as dearly as possible. Should the government raise the retirement age for Social Security? I'm not old, I'm not really sure, but you know, people are getting older and older these days, and the Social Security fund is really big. Like, we got these boomers kind of like draining the money that we're putting into Social Security. So, yeah, that is a hard one, but I would say, yes, people are now living longer than when the program was created. Alright, foreign policy issues. What's up, dog?
What you doing, fool?
Filming a vlog.
Flex.
You wanna come in?
Thought that was homework.
Alright, what you think about this? Should the government increase or decrease military spending? I'd say decrease.
Decrease, but not by that much.
No, military spending is at least a third of our national budget. It's a lot.
Should the U.S. accept refugees from Syria?
Yes.
Yes.
Should foreign terrorism suspects be given constitutional rights? Yes. Should the military be allowed to use enhanced interrogation techniques such as waterboarding? You know, waterboarding really is some pussy shit. Like, we've done a lot worse as Americans, so using waterboarding as an example, you know, it's not gonna kill anyone, so waterboarding I guess is fine, but other interrogation techniques like the such as waterboarding, I don't know. So I'll just say yes, allow the use of psychological but not physical tactics. Should every 18, hell no. Should the U.S. remain in the United Nations? Yes. But I think we should decrease our spending in the United Nations. Do you support the killing of Iranian Major General Qasem Soleimani? I think that we should get out of the Middle East regardless. So, you know, I'm going to just say no, we shouldn't be in the Middle East. It was a bad move, and we're probably going to be in there forever at this point. I don't really see a light at the end of the tunnel there, so I don't support it. Do you support President Obama's move to lift the trade and travel embargo in Cuba? Yes, I do. I love Cuban cigars. Should the U.S. continue to support Israel? This one is a contested issue. I think that the U.S. should recognize both Israel and Palestine. So I don't know if we should give equal support because Israel is one of our greatest allies. But the current administration hasn't really been too kind with Palestine. So I would really say yes, but give less aid. So I'll just say yes anyways. Doesn't really matter. Should the U.S. remain in NATO? Yes. Should the U.S. increase or decrease foreign aid spending? Decrease. I guess that answers the question I had earlier. Should the military troops be pulled out of Afghanistan? Yes, of course. Should Jerusalem be recognized as the capital of Israel? I mean, it is, but it is contested in a way. But I think it is recognized as the capital of Israel right now under our current administration. So I don't really see us just going back on that. So I'm just going to say yes. Going back on it's just going to cause a lot more problems. So we should just continue recognizing it as the capital. Should the U.S. defend other NATO countries? That's an interesting question. We should decrease our budget. But overall, yeah, we should. The U.S. has the best military in the world. Even if we cut our budget, we would still have the best military in the world. So I think that we should continue to do our job as the best military in the world through nonviolent means, through defense, not offense. Should the military fly drones over foreign countries? Hell no. Should the U.S. continue NSA surveillance? No. Should the Chinese government be able to extradite fugitives from Hong Kong? I don't know why this is on a 2020 presidential quiz. This is supposed to be about the U.S., but the situation in China and Hong Kong is really messed up. Hong Kong is a separate nation on one hand, but on the other hand, it is like an inherently Chinese place. So I will say the question's no longer relevant, but if that was in the U.S., if we had a similar situation with like Puerto Rico, yeah. Should the government cancel production of the F-35 fighter? Yes, it's too expensive. They cost like almost $1 trillion a piece. Should the U.S. sell military weapons to India in order to counter Chinese and Russian influence? No, that's never worked for us. Should the U.S. go to war with Iran? No. Should the U.S. government attempt to influence foreign elections?
I woke up at like 6 and like did some dashing.
Yes. No. Should the U.S. government attempt to influence foreign elections? No.
You hear that?
Should it be illegal to join a boycott of Israel? No. Freedom of speech. Should the U.S. conduct military strikes against North Korea in order to destroy their long-range missile? Can you guys shut the fuck up? Yeah, I saw Mario on the street.
She invited me here.
It's not me, fool.
Should the U.S. conduct military strikes against North Korea in order to destroy their long-range missile and nuclear weapons capabilities? No, it's a bad idea. Should the government continue to fund Planned Parenthood? Planned Parenthood is independent from our government. It's not technically a government agency, but I don't know, it does provide a lot of good things other than abortion, like health checkups for women in impoverished areas. So I think that we should continue to fund it, but as long as the funding is not used for abortion procedures, because that's really what's making it so contested. Like, that's the only reason why it's a question. So as long as the funding just goes for everything else, I don't really see how anyone could have a problem with that. What is your stance on abortion? Pro-choice, but only at the last resort. Should health insurance providers be required to offer free birth control? Health insurance providers do offer a lot of free shit that is a lot less important than birth control. So I would say yes, but it depends on the insurance provider. And personally, I believe that health insurance should be free, but that's a different conversation. But health insurance providers now, actually, I'm going to change my answer. I wouldn't say that they should be required, but they should definitely, I would support that. I'm just going to leave it at yes. Should gender identity be added to anti-discrimination laws? Yeah, it's not already. Should a business be able to deny service to a customer if the request conflicts with the owner's religious beliefs? This is actually an interesting question because with all this mask stuff going on today, I was thinking about how the people flipping out that you can't go into businesses if you're not wearing a mask are the same people who a couple years ago were like, oh, if a baker is a Christian, he can refuse selling a cake to a gay guy because he's gay. So honestly, like, the business can make whatever choices they want as a business. Like, even if a business does deny a customer because they're gay, I would support every right for people to boycott the business, but it's their bad choice to begin with, and if that happens, you know, that business is gonna go up in flames. So I would say yes, but I don't agree with it. Do you support the legalization of same-sex marriage? Yes. Should the federal government institute a mandatory buyback of assault weapons? No. Of course not. Should transgender athletes be allowed to compete in athletic events? Joe Rogan kind of like, he had some interesting points on this. I think it just really depends on how much estrogen or testosterone someone has in their body. And there's a lot of, like, there's a wide spectrum to what transgender people are like once they finally transition. Like, some of them want to stay more masculine, and then some of them want to be feminine, and vice versa. So I would really say it's like up to the discretion of the committee. Like, I don't know if you would be able to sue based on discrimination that way. So I'll say yes, but only if their hormone levels are equivalent to those in the gender category. Should universities provide trigger warnings in safe spaces? No, I don't care. You should. It's life. If you see something that you don't agree with or you don't like, you got to deal with it, because it's not going to be the last time you see it, and you can't hide from everything. Should gay couples have the same adoption rights as straight couples? Yes. Should states be allowed to display the Confederate flag on government property? I mean, I kind of want to say yes because of freedom of speech, but at the same time, it's just really stupid. I hate the Confederate flag. Everyone who I've ever seen own a Confederate flag is a pretty dumb person. So I would say that yes, but only at historical monuments where it was originally flown. I don't think we should have Confederate flags be part of state flags, because it really is like the flag of the antithesis of America. Like, they literally left America to fight America in the Civil War. So I don't get why people are such a fan of the Confederate flag but can also call themselves Americans. So I'll just say yes there, because it's just my borderline principle of freedom of speech. Do you support the death penalty? No. Should businesses be required to have women on their board of directors? No. I think it really depends on the business. Some businesses cater exclusively to men, some businesses cater exclusively to women, and some businesses do both. And the ones that do both, I mean, obviously they should have women on their board of directors. It would be a really dumb decision not to, but for either side, Like, I don't think that men should be on the board of directors of a tampon company, for example. So I would say no to that question. Should women be allowed to wear a face veil to civic ceremonies? Yes. Why not? Should the government support a separation of church and state by removing references to God on money, federal buildings, and national monuments? I mean, that just seems like a waste of time. We already have a separation of church and state that is pretty extreme to this day, so I will say no. Should terminally ill patients be allowed to end their lives via assisted suicide? Yes. Yeah. It's your life, your choice. Should hate speech be protected by the First Amendment? Yes. Should martial rape be classified and punished as severely as non-martial rape? Yeah, rape's rape. Should the military allow women to serve in combat roles? Yes. Should funding for local police departments be redirected to social and community-based programs? Probably not all the funding. We still do need police. As much as I would like a world without police, there are a couple situations where you would need a police officer. And I'm not even saying I would need a police officer, because I stay strapped. But people who don't have guns, they might need a police officer. So I think that we should have some funding, but we should move the majority of it to social and community-based programs. Should convicted criminals have the right to vote? Yes. I mean, why wouldn't they? Everyone should have the right to vote. Do you support mandatory minimum prison sentences for people charged with drug possession? No, it's retarded. Should prisons ban the use of solitary confinement for juveniles? Solitary confinement is emotional torture, but I mean, depends on the crime. Like, it's better than getting the chair, you know? So solitary confinement, I could probably handle it, so I'm just gonna say yes. Should nonviolent prisoners be released from jail in order to reduce overcrowding? Yeah, nonviolent prisoners shouldn't even be in jail. Should police officers be required to wear body cameras? Hell yes.